Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. It is finally time that I am forcing myself to get going with Winter is Coming Wednesday. I missed from January on, and when July hit, the schedule for the holiday catalog moved out 1 month. So our pre-order was is this month. And ironically, the very first project that I am inclined to do isn't even something from the new catalog. It is Regal Reindeer, which I bought last winter and did not use. So I am glad that it carried over for me into the annual catalog. I've just, with the home and everything and being in sunny Florida, I have just felt very un-holiday-like. So I'm not sure if I am going to be able to convince myself to do these every week, so I might shoot for every other week doing a Winter is Coming Wednesday. And then in that case, I will probably have to make myself do more than one project. So this actually that I'm going to share with you is a partially reconstructed, reverse engineered fun fold. And I reverse engineered it because I wanted to use slightly less materials. I wanted to keep it to using one 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock for the base and all of the base components. Then there's one piece of 6 by 6. I wanted to make sure that my individual cuts did not go into an additional 6 by 6, and that's with DSP. And then it does use one additional piece of a different colored cardstock unless you choose to have it. And when I say one piece, it's one A4 front additional piece of either a different color or the same color depending on what you want to do. And I will share with you the mock-up of the card. Now this was a card made in card class. We made 2 of them, I believe the same day, but I'm not quite sure. I go to card class every other week. There are 2 instructors, Betty and Beth, and I know that Betty likes to do fun folds more often than Beth, but I suspect this is from Beth. And I don't like to put their cards on my videos unless I actually specifically ask. And I did not ask about this card, and ironically it is appealing to me for this particular style of card that I am trying to recreate in a different footprint than the inspiration pin that I do have, and I'll put it up on my blog for you. So the inspiration card is actually a tall skinny card, and I wanted to keep the same feel of the card but compress it down into a normal A2 size card. But this particular card is also a sort of a tall skinny card because it's only 3.5 inches wide. So let me share it with you. So this is what the card looks like, and like I said, the original that I saw on Pinterest is the 3 by 8.5, whatever would fit in like a business sized envelope. So when I thought about trying to recreate it, I thought, I wonder if the fun fold that I knew was 3.5 inches wide would give the same look. And I already knew that I loved this paper, which comes as a 6 by 6. It's a 48 piece 6 by 6. So there were various reasons why I needed to stick with A2 size, and this is 5.5 inches tall by 3.5 inches wide. But I still wanted it to have that tall look of the reindeer on top of the cliff, with this piece on earth off to the side, and then the trees. It just all worked for me. The treatment used for the background on the inspiration pin is completely different than what I'm doing. But these 2 elements are the same pieces. Okay, so now we open it up. I have only got it partially constructed, and I'll talk about how I was working it out so that I was using the least amount of the 6 by 6 versus the going into an extra piece. So I already have a second version of this card, just the front of it. Started also with the reindeer using the One Horse Open Sleigh is the paper, by the way, the DSP. So this other one starts with this, and I've cut a slit so that the reindeer looks like he's standing from behind the tree looking out over, you know, his land here. And then it has the sentiment that would normally be on the inside, I want it on the front. So this one, I've also got some pieces cut, so I'll show you how I broke them down to make it work. The squares here are 5.5 inches long, so you can see that they are a cube and they're scored in 3 places. And how I reversed engineered that is I knew from my, somewhere I have a piece of blank paper and I drew lines. Here it is. I kind of have a mad scientist desk right now. So if I take this 8.5 by 11, that would be colored cardstock. Let's see if I have a highlighter. I do not. I thought I was prepared for this. I'm going to go with green so you can see it. So basically it is, I said it's a 5 1/4 by 3.5. So it's 3 panels. So the full base panel is right here. It's the biggest piece. So you cut it off at 5 1/2, and then you trim off this little section, which is the 1/2 inch, because 3.5 times 3 is 10.5. So this piece goes away and is not used. From there, so I have picked Early Espresso for my other card. So now we have this piece, and that's our base. Then we have our 4 strips that we need to cut to make our cubes, of which I've only got the 2 assembled here. And I'll talk about my little scene that I made with that. So that's these 4 strips, and they are and I will write up some sort of measurements or instructions, and that will also be on my blog. So I just haven't got that done yet, but I got it done enough, and I really wanted to get this posted today. This is Wednesday. Usually I'm always done a day in advance, but last night I got the wild idea to pursue this. So the height of each of these is 1, that's a little bit off. I cut them at 1 1/8. So here's the 2 pieces that are left over. They are the perfect length. They just will make 2 1 1/8. And then you have these extra pieces that you could actually use. I'll show you where I chose to go with another A2 size piece from my supply box in black. So in this particular case, if I wanted to, depending on how I were to work with on the second one here that coordinates with it, I have this as my extra strip that I am working with, cutting this up into individual bits to fill in the other 2 panels of the card. So not knowing how wide my pieces were going to be, after I took the top and bottom and set this up so that I could do some thicknesses, I cut the other piece. So this is a 3.5 by 5.5. I can't use the rest of this because it is vertical, so the bottom that gets lopped off is gone. It's just not usable. I then had 2 skinny strips of the tree that I cut, and I placed them because I knew that they could be in that location. What I wanted to do was, I didn't know how, without having the little cubes down, I did not know how much of a gap that I would want. So I created this movable strip that I could adjust as I needed to and have it repeat. Notice I'm not doing any matting. I decided I wanted that long skinny look. So to recreate the long skinny look, I have decided to go only vertical matting and nothing top and bottom. I know also that the card class card that I didn't get permission to show, so I won't show, it had a pretty narrow strip to write on. So I wanted my white piece to be pretty wide. However, I still wanted there to also be a piece of this tree over here. And I decided I still could change my mind and decide I want another strip of black, but I believe I am going to not do black over on the right. I may stamp a continuation of, like I could do this snowflake with these little snow. There's 2 stamps in the reindeer that have snow. They're very, very, this was the one I used. And then there's this one. And so I am thinking that I will do some snow across the top to leave all of this space for writing. If this is a card I am going to give, which it probably will be, I like to write a message. So I need to get as much room out of the deal as I can. So that is why I have these 2 tree strips, because I left these 2 top panels not glued on so that they are adjustable with whatever I wanted to do. But I believe I am not going to do black here, and I already committed to black so that when you unfold it, you will get the continuation. I did a vertical black line to continue the cliff up to the top, and then have this continuation of it on the inside when you unfold it. My scene that I went with was, I have the trees, and I put the trees on a block. I then took and placed, the squares were already cut, and I have them placed accordingly, like so that they sort of look like this grouping of 3, but in pieces. And I laid my paper down where I wanted it on the ink block after they were already inked, and I only inked up like the area, and then I've carefully rubbed and then carefully picked it up. Got a little ink on my fingers doing it. And so that is how I created the 3 tree bits. This snowflake I grabbed from, I have a box of retired Christmas sets. I do not have currently a Christmas set that has snowflakes, so any little snowflakes will do. You could just use the 2 reindeer snowflakes, but I wanted to have one bigger obvious snowflake to make an object of interest on each of my little panels. I love the idea of the bunny being looked at by the reindeer with his head down, like he's literally looking at the bunny. So that's why these 2 are in the middle. So the middle scene was already done. This guy, I could have restamped him so that his chin wasn't just right on the edge, but it's okay. So that is my thought behind my scene. I then have the 2 panels, 2 skinny panels, and I have already scored one, which is basically, I took the 5.5, I used my trimmer tool with the score piece, and I cut it, or scored it at 2 3/4, then scored it at 1 3/8, rotated it around, and scored it at 1 3/8 again. So then now I have my cube that I will glue, and my tactic for gluing to make it fairly foolproof is I will put the 2 panels. I have not actually scored the other one. I will center, so I went ahead and placed these 2 fairly close to the end, and then I will do even spacing between the 3, and I will glue the 2 down after I've done spacing. I probably won't put a little tick mark so that I'm for sure. I'll be somewhat casual about it. Then when I'm all done, I will glue on the rest of my scene. So that is today's card. I wanted to share with you what it looked like before it's all together, and then I will go away. I will put it all together as I've described, and then I am going to take a picture, and then next week, or if it's in 2 weeks, I will do a quick rundown. I will finish the second one, and that'll be the start of the next episode. I often, with the Winter is Coming Wednesdays, they're kind of sequential, and they kind of all work together. So I'm oftentimes finishing up some ideas. If I give you a variety of options, which this I've been very specific with, so I am not going to, I kind of worked through all of my options without you because I didn't know how long it was going to take. So I will be finishing up cards from the previous episode at the beginning of the next episode. That's typically what I will do, because I do like to give a variety of options. So I think this is a great use of this set, and is far more interesting than my typical Christmas cards. So I'm pretty excited about it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you are working on your holiday cards already. I know that I have to get going also on Thanksgiving, which comes before Christmas. And so I will throw in some Thanksgiving cards in the mix as well. Be sure to do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.